Hello everybody, my name is James, hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about comments and updates following the Baku Grand Prix. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Formula 1 content. Also make sure to follow me on X at James's Pit Lane, I'll leave a link in the description, but let's jump straight into the video. Now I thought that was a really good Grand Prix, no red flags, unlike qualifying where there was so much disruption, but yeah, the race ran smoothly, I enjoyed it, and it was won by Max Verstappen. He drove brilliantly. As we know, he took pole position and then he just dominated that Grand Prix. No one could get near him. And speaking about taking his win, Verstappen said, "This weekend has been incredible for us. Monza was already great, but for us to win here is fantastic. The car was working really well on both compounds. We had clean air all the time, so you could look after your tyres, and it was pretty straightforward. It was never easy around here, very windy today, so the car was moving around a lot. I'm incredibly happy with this performance." Now, I'm not sure what Red Bull have done since the summer break, but that car is looking a lot more competitive. I mean, Verstappen, he's won the last two Grand Prix now, both in Monza and Baku, and watching him drive, it's like watching 2023 all over again. He's just dominating the Grand Prix. And Yuki Tsunoda, who struggled to score points since his promotion to Red Bull this season, has been in the points more since the summer break, and he got a really good P6 in Baku. And in terms of the driver's standings, Verstappen has closed what was a 104-point deficit to Oscar Piastri to 69 points over the past two races. So Verstappen is closing in on McLaren in the driver's standings. So really strong stuff from Red Bull, and when asked whether Red Bull can continue this pace, Verstappen said, "It's difficult to say at the moment, but for sure the last two weekends have been amazing for us. Singapore is a challenge again with the high downforce." Now, before I get into McLaren, I think we've got to talk about Liam Lawson and Carlos Sainz. I think both those drivers did an absolutely brilliant job in Baku. I mean, starting with Lawson, look at his first stint. He was holding on to P3. He was under pressure from the Mercedes, but he was keeping them behind. It was absolutely brilliant. Both Mercedes did jump Lawson at the pit stop, so he did fall to P5, but we saw in the last few laps, he had Tsunoda, Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton all over him in a DRS train, but Lawson drove with no mistakes, kept his cool and managed to hold on to P5. The way he held those drivers off, I just thought that was seriously impressive. And in terms of Sainz, it just looked like he had the pace to be on the podium the whole Grand Prix. He was really fast in that Williams, and he thoroughly deserves his first podium with Williams. And speaking about achieving that, Sainz said, "I cannot describe how happy I am and how good this feels. It tastes even better than my first podium. We've been fighting hard all year, and we've proved when we had the speed, we had it all year, and everything comes together, and we can do some amazing things together. We nailed the race, not one mistake, and we managed to beat a lot of cars yesterday that we wouldn't have expected to beat." But let's move on to McLaren, and well, Baku was a disaster for the team. In qualifying, they were only P7 and P9, and in the race, we'll start with Norris. He only ended up in P7, and Norris just seemed to struggle throughout the Grand Prix. You know, he couldn't clear cars in front of him, and that was surprising. We know how good that McLaren is, but yeah, he just struggled in the dirty air, it looked like. And even at the end of the Grand Prix, when he put new tyres on, he just could not clear Tsunoda and Lawson in front of him. I mean, it was a DRS train that did make it difficult, but yeah, in the McLaren, he just could not get past. So a difficult afternoon, I'd say, for Norris. But it was even worse for his teammate Oscar Piastri. He had a terrible start, fell right to the back of the grid, and then on the first lap had a lock-up and went into the barriers, and that was his race over. And that was shocking to see. As I said yesterday, you don't really see Piastri making mistakes this year, but in qualifying yesterday, he hit the wall. Today in the Grand Prix, he hit the wall. So yeah, an awful weekend for Piastri. And speaking about it, Piastri said, as quoted by Sky F1, "The crash just did not anticipate the dirty air in the way I should have. clearly went into the corner way too hot, and that was that. The grip level was low, but I should know that, so I'm certainly not blaming it on anything other than myself. Just didn't make the judgment calls that I needed to at the right time, and that's obviously disappointing. Now on top of this, the reason Piastri fell to the back of the grid at the start was because he jumped the start. Basically, having moved forwards before the lights went out, Piastri stopped his McLaren and appeared to hit anti-stall, slowing his getaway and dropping him to the back of the field. And then as he tried to recover places, that's when he went into the wall. Now, even though Piastri was out of the race, the stewards still investigated him for his jump start, as it was an obvious breach of the regulations, and as you'd expect, the stewards gave Piastri a 5-second time penalty for jumping the start. But with Piastri out of the race, he was never going to be able to serve his penalty, and in theory, the rules state that in such circumstances, a time penalty not served can be converted into a grid drop for the next race. But at the same time, the race say that in the FIA Stewards Guidelines document that was published earlier this year and explains the criteria for stewards' calls, it was clarified why minor one-off incidents like Piastri's will not be converted. Article 8 in the important note section of the penalty guidelines states, in cases where there is a single 5-second penalty which a driver is unable to serve due to retirement, the stewards will not convert that into a grid penalty for the subsequent race. However, if there's more than one penalty, the stewards may convert the 5 seconds and other penalties into a grid penalty. So it looks like Piastri will avoid a grid drop for the next race in Singapore. And again, I think he has been very lucky this weekend. In qualifying, he crashed out and Norris was only able to qualify P7 in the race. Piastri crashed out on lap 1, but Norris could only finish the race in P7. So Piastri still has a decent gap to Norris in the driver's standings. But honestly, if I were Piastri or Norris, I would be very worried about Verstappen because he's looking like he's got his 2023 form back. He is driving absolutely brilliantly. He's won 2 races in a row now very comfortably, and he is bringing that gap down in the driver's standings. And we know Verstappen, if he gets a chance, he will take it. It is very unlikely the pressure will get to him. What do you think will happen for the rest of the season? Let me know in the comments below. But that's going to be the video from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care. Bye.